Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to appoint trustee Posek as the chair for this meeting.
Okay. Meeting's been called to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We will open the meeting to public comment. Please, remind yourself, it's 3 minutes per person.
It's future use your microphone.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we will recognize the. Yeah, and if you would step up here to the microphone, that'd help. Yeah.
Same. Yep, that's right. All right. So my name is Tyler Latondras. I'm a resident of the city of Chelsea. So good evening. As stated, my name is Tyler Latondras, and I am the cybersecurity manager for Washington County government. Well, not your own official business. I believe my title is pertinent to why I am here, and that is to voice my support for the security camera policy that is on tonight's agenda. I've collaborated with Clerk and Keith on this policy, and I believe that it is commendable that you all as a board are investing in and considering updating security related policies. Also, a shout out to Mr. and Keith for reaching out to somebody with experience on the topic, which so many organizations do. Cybersecurity isn't just about online protection, it extends to physical security as well. And this policy isn't just about surveillance, it's about safeguarding citizen privacy and aligning with the legal obligations. As a cybersecurity professional, I recognize the essential role physical security plays in our broader security landscape. The data captured by these cameras holds legal and regulatory implications that the policy addresses effectively. This enables the township to conduct its business securely and responsibly. I urge the board to vote in favor of this policy. And I'd also like to offer that at the end of the meeting, I will be sticking around if anybody has any security questions relating to the. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment? Patrick?
Patrick Ziski, president. A few little things. Well, they're not that. First of all, I want to reiterate my comments from previous meetings about 4.4 mils and the money that has to be credited toward the bond, or the money that could be credited to the bond. We know that the tap fees do have to go there. And I'd like to call on board members again to work out what it would take to make this winter taxes millage the last of the 4.4. It looks like the numbers probably would indicate that. Well, what more information would be needed to make that judgment? Question. If any. On the subject of the land development standards, which is on the agenda tonight, I would ask if anybody who has knowledge of this could inform the residents of what role the land development standards play in Sylvan Township. What is the legal status of them? They don't seem to be ordinances, but they need to be enforced in some sense. I'd like to understand that better. I think everybody should understand it better since they're being reviewed or renewed. And in light of that, should the review be expanded to the whole land development standards rather than just selected portions of them? If these things are really important and really out of date, we should take a comprehensive look at it. Third thing about the security cameras, and maybe this gentleman here can answer the question, or maybe this is more of a legal question, but I saw on Paul's memo about it, that's the township attorney, that the material footage would be kept for 30 days by standard policy. And I wonder if that number may be changed. Sometimes I think an issue may come to light after 30 days and we wish we had the footage there. And same with a resident, maybe a resident would report us something and wouldn't know that it was an issue until after 30 days. Another question that ought to be considered is what of this footage, if any, is political, and under what circumstances? That should be understood as you follow this policy to learn, pursue the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we will move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Additional discussion? I would like to go through the check register. Had some questions on that. And I believe that may be part of the consent agenda. Haynes Accounting, October 2023 services. What was that, $4,800?
That is our accountant.
Okay, that's Kimberly. And so she's doing that as a contract, not an employee?
Yes.
Okay. The other one, USA Blue Book. Ultra low profile drum scale, I assume that's a water. And do they also do the injection fitting strainer, ASM center duct?
I'm not familiar with that, line item.
Okay, because it shows USA Blue Book for 4,000 some, and then it's got the INJ fitting strainer, but there's nothing under vendor name for that, so I'm assuming it's the same vendor. Okay.
It was because it was paid on the same checks and then different invoices corresponding to the same vendor. That's why we centralized that.
And then under Great Lakes Ace, it seems like somebody went to Ace Hardware and grabbed a bunch of,
It's about all of them.
It's Bob's water.
okay. So that's water. So a lot of this really looks like water. Yeah. Okay, those are the only questions I had. Motion's been made and seconded, Sandy? To approve the consent agenda?
Yes.
Brad?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Consent agenda's been approved. Moving on to regular agenda. Which will be unfinished business, new business. We'll move to accept the regular agenda. I'd like to make one small change to it. Under new business to add, since we have Bob Skull here, to do a water rate study. Any other changes?
I'm wondering if we should maybe pull out, it was consolidated for land developments until we can get into here, it's on Zoom, and it's what it
Yep.
gives to us.
So
I would say-
when we get to that part of the agenda, please.
That's-
We'll table, we'll kill it.
Well, I think we're waiting for Sue to weigh in on that, just because Eric's in for highlight.
Right, but we keep putting it on the agenda and tabling until we're ready to go. It shouldn't be on the agenda, is my opinion. So let's just have a work session with Midwest. And when we're ready to make a decision on it, then bring it to the board, because we've tabled this how many times?
Yeah, I mean, we have. Okay, I'm fine.
Any other changes, additions, deletions? Okay, I made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Rod, second. Any additional discussion? Sandy? Now you vote.
I mean,
Yeah.
Rod? Amanda?
yeah,
Kurt, yes. Okay. Regular agenda has been approved. Unfinished business, citizen of the year. I don't believe we're doing anything actionable tonight. This is just to let people know we're in that process of going through this. Is there any additional discussion on the citizen of the year? Hearing none, we'll move on. Consideration of ethics policy.
I think I got a table to give everybody a chance to look at it.
For what person?
To give everybody a chance to look at it.
Has everybody had a chance to look at it? I would propose that we accept the ethics policy as written, submitted.
Second,
Second, any additional discussion? We'll go to vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Rob,
yes,
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. We now have an ethics policy. And it looks like each employee, appointee, contract employee, consultant, will ask to sign these. And the supervisor will manage that. Okay,
so I will make a motion that we pull the Midwestern Consulting off of the agenda. And take it to the work session where we speak with Sarah.
I will second that. Any just additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll go vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes,
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt, yes, okay. We'll bring that back at some later date. We're ready to
Again.
vote and take action on it.
I will make the same motion that I made proposal for the engineering studies. Is that the water pump? That's not the one.
No utility ordinance.
This is utility ordinance. So same thing.
Yeah, they're just gonna review the water and smoke. Make sure they're not-
So do we have to meet with them?
He's got all the ordinance. I don't know what we're waiting for.
No, we were waiting for him to weigh in and give us insight into why. this
But
is
he
being
has
done.
information.
Yeah,
So
but
we're just waiting.
yeah, I think we were waiting to actually have him discuss it with us so that we understand why. This is considered $60,000.
Yeah, then we can do it at the same work session. So I'll still make the motion to pull it, take it to a work session.
Okay. Any additional, I'll second it. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes,
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Purchase of 11 new computers. This is from submitted by Rod.
I did get with Dell. We got a government account now, no sales tax or anything. We got it a little bit under $4,000 from what PC3 had. And we would just pay them for it.
And you were waiting on a 70% discount?
She hasn't come through with it.
Well, I followed up, so you can't use a consumer discount with the government, so you're already getting a government discount.
Gotta go.
Like, yeah, and that's far better than.
Okay.
I meant to follow up with you.
So Rod, do you have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to purchase directly from Dell. The required computers in the amount of $14,951.52.
And who's installing those?
I'm sorry,
Who are you having install those?
BC3,
And
Our
what's the
IT
charge?
company.
I didn't see what's their quote?
our IT company. They had a quote from us. And it's expired. So we'll have to go back. I'm sure and get another one. It was only good for X amount of time. Just like their order was.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Okay.
Sandy will second. Additional discussion?
So at that point, Ron, DC3 was going to charge $5,280 for installation of these 11 computers.
Yeah.
And this has not been budgeted for, where were we thinking we would? Executed you, sure. Where were we thinking we would? Pay for this?
I'm not sure if we were gonna try to use ARPA funds. Or. Do a budget amendment, but either way, we've gotta get them because. They won't, the ones that we had here, every one of them will not accept this.
Right.
So one way or another.
Right. Pass this and then consider using ARPA funding, you have to be able to go. Motion. And then use that. use ARPA funding. We haven't wrapped it into ARPA funds yet.
No,
We haven't wrapped it into ARPA funds yet.
we have repped in ARPA funds, and we have to either do that, or we have to do a budget, one of the two.
Anything additional, Amanda? So I had the same question, we're not budgeting for it, so maybe in the work session with IMEG and Midwest, we can also look at a budget amendment or ARPA. We'll have a discussion at that point.
So you're comfortable passing it and then having the additional discussion?
Any additional discussion? Okay, motion's been made, seconded, we'll vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
and Kurt is yes, motion passes. You have the approval to go purchase computers. Now I'll follow up with Kathy to, for the work session and to include
Perfect.
budget amendment or ARPA discussion. Okay, next on the agenda, consideration of reposting project manager position.
I know we tabled that, so everybody had a chance to look at it too.
I had a discussion with Kathy earlier today about the project manager and the office manager. And I think this also merits a work session where, especially the office manager, I think it would be a good idea, and I'm jumping in, sorry. It'd be a good idea to have the department heads join us, you know, so that they can weigh in. These are important roles that we want to get as much information from the other staff that we can.
Okay,
So I will make a motion to remove the reposting of the project manager position to be followed up on in a work session.
a second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. And we'll do the same for the office manager position with that work session.
So I will make a motion, let me make a second motion for that, please, to remove, the consideration of adding office manager position to be followed up on in a work session.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. Moving on to new business. Water system reliability study and general plan proposal. This is submitted by Bob Skull. Your official title is DPW.
Chief Cook and Bottle Washer. Yes, it's a required study that every water system has to perform every 5 years. Ours expired in 2021. And what it does, looks at the system as a whole, looks at the finances, projected growth, and make sure that we're putting away the money we need to. It looks at projected growth and to make sure that we have capacity to handle that. And again, it is a requirement. It came out that ours was expired at the last sanitary sewer survey. I tried to get a second quote, but the other company didn't come through. That's why it's somewhat late getting to you.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposal from IAI to perform a reliability study in the amount not to exceed $15,900. In addition, authorize the DPW director to sign the proposal and invoice after work is performed.
Support.
Motion's been made and seconded, additional discussion, so I'll start. So you're saying this is a regulatory requirement,
Yes.
and the deliverables of this are? What are we gonna get for the?
We're gonna get reports saying where we're at, financially, where we're at, and more importantly, where we're at equipment wise. Is everything's up to be able to handle the projected growth that we're looking at. That's basically what it's, and then that report will have to be submitted to the state of Michigan.
Are we giving them a time frame to get it to us?
April.
Does that say that in here?
It does actually, well, at March 6th was when we have to get it completed, but I think got time to get it to the state.
Okay,
And probably, again, it would have been better if we did this a month ago, but I was just trying to get a second blow.
okay.
A lot of it's weather conditions.
Any additional discussion? That's all I had. Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Sandy?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. We look forward to seeing that reliability study. Next on the agenda is Metro Act right-of-way permit extension.
You know about that, Kurt?
Very little. It seems like it's something that we have to do. It's for cable companies coming through. We have to act in a timely manner, or we get,
We get a lot of big fines.
yeah, their fines can be levied.
This was similar to last month, correct, with MEC?
Correct.
Right.
And-
And we're authorizing them to run their lines through the township.
And you got a memo from Paul, that says it's okay to sign, or so. He sees nothing wrong with it.
The only question I had is, it seems like I saw something in the budget about Metro, and it seemed like we were over budget on it.
We get money from it.
So it's under revenues.
Yeah.
Metro Act, there it is, yes. So we're getting more money than we thought.
Sure.
Okay,
We got MEC coming through now. Too, and they're on the metro areas.
And this is the first year that MEC has, yeah, that we would have signed that with MEC, correct?
I'll make a motion that we. It's worded.
approve the new AT&T Metro Act right-of-way permit.
Thank you, I'll second.
Kurt, okay. Okay.
Yep, as written. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to vote. Sandy?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Kurt, yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Next on the agenda, bids for updated security camera equipment and installation is submitted by Amanda.
Yep, it's been ready. So if you remember, we discussed this at a work session. I think it was back in June when we first, last June, when Matt Ekman from American Video Transfer had come in and talked to us about what options we had and different things we needed to consider when looking at upgrading our cameras. We know we have to add a camera to the ballot box, that's the law. Actually, I can't install my new ballot box that I have right now, because by the 14th of December, if you have that ballot box installed, you have to have video surveillance of it by law. So I would have loved to have had this earlier, but we were also waiting on other bids. We had discussed including the water tower in that work session as critical infrastructure. We talked about how important it was that we also include security camera surveillance of the water plant, the water tower. So we had to work with the plant operator's schedule to bring in different companies to bid on that as well. So I would like, well, I would like to make a motion to select one of the three firms that you see in the packet to complete the quoted work and to authorize the expenditure of ARPA funds for the project.
I'd like to hear Bob weigh in a little bit, if we could, on his thoughts on that,
And
on the water plant
the security,
cameras.
It was Bob Hollowell.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh,
that.
okay,
What I mean is,
sure.
I think if that's what the direction that township is concerned about, then it's probably a good idea. I mean, it's pretty standard. You have cameras at government facilities, so.
And that was one thing that Mr. Ekman had brought up, that he had seen that in other municipalities. Being critical infrastructure, you know, there's a problem with your water plant, you impact a lot of residents.
It's so isolated too that it would hurt to have some.
Yeah.
Cameras, security. On it.
So we worked with Bob Hollowell and we asked him what his thoughts were, and so we talked about cameras around the perimeter of the water plant itself, and then one camera on the door of the water tower. So that if there was any issue, you know, at least we would know who was entering the water tower.
Just two?
One on the water tower, just on the door, and then we went around the perimeter of the plant itself, but it is remote, so. There's a security system on the water plant, but having the cameras would allow you to know who was actually accessing the plant.
Thank you.
If there was a problem. I mean, there are, if you've been to the plant, you know, you can scale that fence pretty easily from many different directions.
The existing security's simply on the building, there's nothing on the grounds. So cameras looking at the grounds would probably be helpful if anything does occur.
So,
I guess probably the only other thing that I have is. I don't see a big deal of leaving the old cameras there. They're not connected to anything and nobody can remote into them. So I don't see a big deal with leaving those cameras there. They sit there and amount to perfectly fine functional cameras.
well, I think the point that Mr. Ekman was making is, number one, we need to add a camera here.
Right.
But allowing DC3 to manage those cameras, there's many benefits to that. If there's a problem, they can immediately weigh in to fix an issue. There's actually legislature out there that these cameras, you won't even be able to use these cameras. If we have a problem with one of the cameras, they can't be fixed because the FCC has made a ruling that you can't even fix them.
I understand that. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying, I saw in there tear out other old cameras. I don't see a point in doing that. You're gonna have new cameras. There's no point, there's no harm done in leaving the old cameras.
Well, why would we want to leave them?
They're perfectly functional. There's nothing wrong with them. They're not connected to anything. Nobody can get into them. Nobody can remote in.
So you would want to have two camera systems running at once?
They're not hurting anything.
I don't see a reason. I mean, if we have one set of cameras, why would we have another set of cameras running?
I just don't see any reason to tear them out. Perfectly functional cameras.
I think though, the point that Mr. Latendrous was making is that we need to have a company manage this footage. So there's no reason to have more footage being gathered that's not being managed by DC3.
I get that. I'm not arguing that point at all. I'm just saying, there's no point in tearing out 4 functioning cameras. That's all.
Would it be okay if I made a comment on that? So when thinking yourselves, putting yourselves at risk of like audits, when you take into consideration the equipment that is under the perspective of the audit, it's anything that stores, transmits, or processes data. So if you left the old camera system out there, that becomes within scope of any sort of audits may fall into it. So it would be beneficial to remove the system from that piece.
No, I don't see any big deal with it.
You know, if you have a fake camera up there that doesn't do anything, I think it serves as an additional deterrent.
But I don't think but that's not what I hear you asking. I hear you asking that we continue to allow those cameras to record footage in addition to the other cameras, correct? So we're not turning them off.
Correct.
So I don't agree with that,
I just don't see it as a big deal. They've been running for years.
right? And The policy that we are gonna review after this does not apply to those cameras, and I think that's part of the importance of a policy is that it's being managed and any of that footage is being requested through the supervisor, and again, we're jumping ahead. And right now, with the way this system is set up, you are the only one that has access to it. So that does not feel appropriate to me,
I'll give it admin password stuff too.
but I don't see a need for it. I mean, if we have updated cameras that DC3 is accessing and we are able to utilize that.
I mean, technically, all we have to do is on the ballot box. That's all we have to do.
True. But we are looking at upgrading the system so that we are in compliance with what the FCC recommends because of security issues. This also allows us to build onto the system into the future easily.
Yep, I get it.
So could we be audited on this camera system, surveillance system?
Never had it before. Nothing's ever been said about that.
Isn't that what I just heard? There could be an audit and that that both systems then would have to be audited and have to
If
be.
an audit ever did occur, anything that stores, processes, or transmits data would be within scope. So if you had two different security camera systems, both of them would be within scope. Now audits may not happen now, they won't happen in the future. The state may push things out for that, but also becoming really more common these days where if you ever want to apply for state or federal grant funding, they're starting to add a lot of security requirements to those. And that does involve self-auditing yourself or having audited funding for those. That's something to consider.
If that became a point, then fine.
Well, looking for a motion. Rod, you can make one, you can. Take,
I'll make a motion that we accept the camera and security installation without removing the old ones.
and the successful bidder was. You had analysis on there. Sure, what page here.
I don't, but Kurt, this is my agenda item, and I will not accept that we are going to install a new system and maintain an old system that Rod has access to. And he's the only one with access to it.
No, you're wrong. I've given Kevin a password.
And how is it accessed? How do you access the DVR system? Is it your own monitor? How, is there an HDMI cable to your own monitor? Or does it have its own
There's a monitor in there, the DVR. That's it.
that goes, so it has its own monitor?
A monitor, 20, whatever.
Right, but Rod,
16-inch
but
monitor.
Rod, it doesn't hurt, but what's the purpose it's serving if we're running duplicate cameras in every one of these?
That's exactly what it doesn't hurt.
No, I'm not asking if it doesn't hurt, I'm asking what's the purpose of doing it though? What is your reason for wanting to maintain?
Because they're
duplicate
functional
system?
cameras. There's no big deal.
That's not that's no big deal is not a reason though.
Never been.
What function is it serving to continue keeping duplicate cameras?
Does it provide additional coverage that the new system
It
might
will
not?
not, it will not provide additional coverage. We're gonna be, the whole point of when we designed this was that those cameras would be removed and we would place them in different locations.
Does one remain operational in case the other one loses power or? You know,
No.
looking for a reason on why we might want to have two systems.
They don't, they both, we would lose power for both.
Sandy, any thoughts?
So this is just a security system that we're talking about for the water tower.
No, it's for this building and the
This
water
building,
tower,
Okay, so like how many cameras would be in here
the same amount, in addition to the one that we have to add on the corner of the building that are
for the,
ballot box, yes.
is the state paying for that camera or we have to?
We have to look into it, I think there is reimbursement, but we still have to go through this whole
Okay,
process,
so there's one that's out there,
yes.
one in here.
There are
Can't
five,
get one in here.
We can't get one in here.
there are five, wherever we have cameras already,
Okay. And then what about the rest of the building?
where they are currently located, one in the lobby, one in Rod's office, one facing the offices. And then one on the front of the building as well.
Okay.
So I would like a motion to, again, I've already made the motion to begin with. I started with the
Okay.
motion to select the firm to complete the quoted work. And I would then extend that motion to, when you look at the bids that we have gathered, American Video Transfer was the, Matt Ekman, who came in and he gave us a presentation. He was recommended by BC3. And I would like, just going through them, he is the lowest bid, if you look at the memo that we have provided. I think he did a really good job explaining things to us. If you look at his bid was, so he has the Township Hall at $5,885. And then the water plant and tower at $6,965. So that total bid was $12,850. So you have that memo. So you have American Video Transfer, Omni Cabling, SCW. Omni Cabling was way high. SCW came in fairly close, but they are not a local company like American Video Transfer, and they were not recommended by BC3. So I would like to make a motion that we would accept American Video Transfer for the Township Hall and the water plant and tower totaling $12,850.
Is there a second?
Or,
Sandy supports. Additional discussion? Looking at the quote for the water plant, I don't see anything on here that says we're going, am I missing it, taking out existing cameras?
There are none. There are none
None of the
currently.
water.
There are none currently on the water tower.
Township Hall, any existing cameras?
That was not part of the quote.
So it's
But when we talked about it,
not in the scope of work to take out existing.
Okay.
So a motion has been made, seconded. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Sandy?
yes,
Rod?
Yeah.
Amanda?
yes.
Kurt, yes, motion carries. Thank you. Approval of new administrative policy. And Amanda, this is submitted by you.
Yes, so we talked about this at that June work session as well. A draft of this security camera policy and, we again, working with Mr. Latendress and working with Attorney Thal, working with BC3, even working with Mr. Ekman, just to kind of from his perspective, what would be the most important parts of a policy for us. And so we came up with a draft that you see today. That's a little bit more comprehensive than the one we initially discussed because I was able to get some more feedback. Anybody have any questions?
So you want to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to make a motion that we approve new policy ADM 165 security cameras.
Do I have a second?
second,
Sandy will second. Additional discussion. Sandy?
Good.
You're good, Rod?
Yes.
I mean,
Any additional discussion?
No.
No? Amanda, any additional?
no,
Okay, here, access control and use general access to camera systems by non-authorized users is forbidden. What did Thal say anything about FOIA? Is the video part of it?
it is.
Could become
It
part of the
follows,
FOIA record?
yes, it follows our standard FOIA procedure. So that's already covered in that other policy. He did actually add that direct linkage to this.
Okay, so requests for footage must be submitted in writing, so that's a FOIA request.
It's a FOIA request, yeah, from the public. If it was from an official, then it would go through you would make a, you'd make a request to the supervisor, who then would contact DC3, who would then, provide that footage.
And it says footage will be delivered electronically. What format is that? Is that like JPEG video?
I mean, so,
Yeah, we normally get that right.
Thunder.
Yes.
I don't have any additional discussion on it. Move to vote, Sandy,
Yes.
Brad.
Yep.
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt votes yes, the motion carries, thank you. Proposals for water system capacity study. Bob Skull, you wanna
Yeah.
give us a background on this?
Yeah, what we're asking the board to use consider.
Ask you to use the microphone because I can't hear you. Your voice just goes right up in the ceiling.
I don't like avoiding these things. Yes, we're asking the board to enter into an agreement with the city of Chelsea to split the cost of having a study. To look at the possibility of merging the two water systems, making the interconnection between 2 points. We don't know if it's hydraulically possible. The elevations are different, the water towers are different heights. Chemistry of the water may vary, I doubt it. But people are always concerned about water chemistry because, Flint, look at the grill in the room.
Right.
And just look at capacity and just the possibility if this is even feasible. And the city is gonna cover 2/3 of the cost. I think our portions. It's in there, I think it's on 4,600.
And 4,257.
Okay, yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Any questions for Bob?
When does, if this is approved, when are they going to start?
Well, they have to approve it themselves.
Right,
This is
right.
At their next meeting, and they
Okay.
should start right after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's. Ted Erickson, they're the engineers for this township as well as the city, so they went out for bids, they got another bid from a different engineering company. Ted has the advantage, or excuse me, has the advantage that they have already have our systems mapped, they have the city systems mapped. Their bid came in several $1,000s cheaper than the second bid. The bidding process was handled by the city. They only had 2 people respond, or 2 different companies respond.
So in there, in the scope of the services, it does look like they will provide. Conceptual cost opinions,
Yes,
which I think is important.
but I think that's probably the most important thing, right now.
Okay, I will move to. We're not really accepting the quote from IMEG, we're agreeing to share the cost with the city of Chelsea for the IMEG study. With a cost not to exceed $4,267.
I'll second that.
Ross, any additional discussion? We'll vote, Sandy,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Kurt votes yes, the motion carries. Thank you. Proposal, okay, so we added to the agenda the water rate study. And this actually ties in sort of nicely. That we, if we're gonna connect our water system with the city of Chelsea, we need to understand what it costs us to make a gallon of water. If we give the city of Chelsea a price for water that's less than what it costs us to make it, then why on earth would we do it? We're not necessarily looking to make money, that would be nice, but we're not. Necessarily trying to make a killing off of
So
this.
that's gonna be covered either here, and then we can certainly have a rate study.
Right,
The problem with the rate study is if we do connect with the city, that would throw off. That may throw off the rates a little bit, so we may want to wait to see if it's possible to connect and then proceed with the rate study.
So the last infrastructure alternatives rate study I saw was working with 2017 numbers. So we really haven't updated, to me, I don't see any paperwork that says we've actually updated our estimate of what it costs us to,
Well, that last
to make
study,
water.
the last study came out with the water rates were so high that we didn't feel that it's, the decision was made before my time that we couldn't raise the rates. The only thing that they suggested was raising the meter cost, the cost of meter to your house. But they only raised the cost on the higher upper end meters, the larger meters, which we only have one or two in the township, so.
right, so what you should do is you should have a water rate study and then you determine what you think is a fair cost to charge customers. And then if you have to make up difference, like if it's costing us $250,000 a year to subsidize that so that the water rates aren't outrageous, it's good to know what that number is. Is it 250,000? Is it 200? You know, how much are we subsidizing in order to, and all that can be built into an Excel spreadsheet, which Infrastructure Alternatives has already done. They did it years ago. So what I'm asking is that the DPW get with Infrastructure Alternatives and get a quote to update that study based on where do we currently sit today? And then in that Excel spreadsheet, it can include modeling for contingency of the city of Chelsea adding to it. You know, it could all be built into a model.
Would a rate like that also cover? Like currently, we only have a price for a 1-inch tap. Would a water rate study also give us what we should be charging for like 1.5, 2, 4?
Yeah. They will.
And the
That would be
last,
very good then.
the last study was 2017, or did you mention something after that?
They were using 2017 numbers when I read it.
That's pretty old.
Right.
How many bigger lines do we have outside of the 1-inch?
We have two in the, at Sylvan Crossing, and we have one at the testing facility here. I don't remember what's.
Sensor testing?
Yeah.
So those are more commercial lines.
Yes. They need fire control, so they can do it.
Like sensor testing, right?
And they have like an 8-inch or something. then?
I thought it was 6, but I
6
can't
inch, okay.
recall.
So there's really, I'm not looking for a motion here, other than I'm asking Bob Skull to get with Infrastructure Alternatives
Yeah, well,
and ask them to get us a quote to redo the financial model for, update that financial model for the
I
water.
think that's an excellent idea. That's well needed. Money well spent.
And then we can, when we get the price quote for it, we can look at it then.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We will move into our second public comment. Is there any second public comment?
Hi, Kevin Townsend, Sylvan Township resident. Wanted to, I guess, ask the board to consider a potential gap in the code of ethics that you guys voted on earlier. One of the most common, potential situations is the conflict of interest that arises when board members or planning commission, whoever is voting on issues that come up. Since I've been sort of following board activities closely, township activities probably for 3 years, so not as long as others. But in those 3 years, I can think of 2 situations where there was a clear potential conflict of interest that should have been discussed. Potentially voting members recusing themselves. In one situation, they did recuse themselves. I don't know if this code as listed, maybe I'm not reading it correctly, would cover that. So if you back test this code against what's happened in the last 3 years. If you go back a little further than that and think about the Finney project, there's probably another conflict of interest that may not have been managed accurately or well. So you may want to back test this and think about, does there need to be at least one more addition or an amendment to some of the language on one of these? A couple of them come close, but they don't just say, if there's a conflict of interest, a voting member will recuse themselves. That might be something basic to add. Thank you for considering.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? Hearing none, we will move to Board of Trustee member comments. Sandy?
Yes. So, it was, we realized that, we don't have anybody that manages our website, so it's just, it's sad and I apologize. But, when I looked at the membership for the planning commission for Sylvan Township, it was outdated. It did not have current members on it, and there were no email addresses except mine, because I'm the board of trustee delegate to the planning commission. So then I decided, because I think that is not friendly at all by not having any kind of email address for a planning commission member. How are you supposed to ask them a question? You don't even know where they live. So I decided to look at some of our neighbors' websites to see what they have. Sharon Township Planning Commission has their names, their home addresses, their own phone number, and a township email address. Linden Township has names listed only. Bridgewater Township has name, personal email, personal phone. One person has their address on there and one person has their phone only. Webster Township has names and township email. Lima Township has names only, no contact information. Dexter Township has names and township email. How hard would it be to give everybody who's on a board and commission a township email address?
Great.
It's an easy thing to do, isn't it?
It's easy to do.
And I don't know where this decision needs to come from. You know, does the planning commission decide for themselves if they want to have a township email address put on the website so people can get in contact with them, or is it something that the board decides?
We talked about that once and they got shot down because it was cost.
Cost,
How much does it cost per email?
I think it's $4 for each email. I don't know if it's per month or per year. But I know we just paid to renew the email addresses that we do have. It was $76.
Per month, I think.
I think
that's a
it
month.
may have been,
It's a monthly fee.
because it's $4 an email.
So-
And if I was on the planning commission or the zoning commission, I wouldn't want my private email on there either.
No, we should, no home address, no private, no.
The township email should be
Yeah.
for anybody that serves on the board.
And then right, for FOIA purposes too, that's really important to have the township.
Yeah.
email.
it's interesting how different they all are. So, so what do we need to do? Can we as a board then decide that we want to provide email addresses for people who are on the ZBA and all the other boards?
So that's 7 for the PC and
Well,
Five.
it's 6 because Sandy already has one.
Yeah.
true.
And and the zoning would have a duplicate that Tom Barris is on hold, so we're looking at 4.
So we're looking at a total of 10 new emails.
It's $40.
Absolutely.
And does everybody on the planning commission want this? Do you want to poll them and see how they feel about it? Having a township
I
email
can
address?
certainly ask them that.
Okay. Anything else, Sandy?
Nope. I mean, if we would just have to maybe go with the chairs, and that could be ZBA chair, PC chair, if they didn't want their name, we have our names with our emails, and if they don't want their names associated with the Sylvan Township email, it can be very generic, like we have deputy treasurer, deputy clerk at Sylvan Township MI.
And it could always be numbered, trustee 1, 2, 3, 4.
But that would be hard to
Or
know.
PC.
Yeah, you
One,
don't,
two,
That would be hard to know.
friendly.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
true, but it would be township email,
Right. And then it could roll over,
very easily roll.
right?
What were you just saying? Because when I came on board, it was trustee 1 and 2, and that just made me so furious.
It's harder when a role changes. It's a lot harder to move it.
Right.
But it's not customer friendly. And I'm all about making things easier for people. I don't think people should be hiding and not wanting to answer questions. I think that people need to know who they're emailing, who's trustee 1 and who's trustee 2.
Brad, anything?
No. Okay.
Amanda?
No.
I only had one thing, there was a discussion last month about Brown Drive and the speed on it. And so I drove down, to see how fast I could get on it.
I wouldn't want to beat the crap out of my car going down that road.
I didn't see a speed limit sign
There's not,
anywhere on that road.
which I think puts it at 55.
Yeah,
So is that the Washington County Road Commission job to put it? So I'll contact them and say, hey, you need to get a speed limit sign out there. 45-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And we'll see.
I don't want to go 45 down
Or
that road.
less.
We'll
And
see.
I don't know, we can't petition that as the local governing body,
I don't know. That's probably a good question.
because I believe that's considered a local road, but again, I don't know. what the-
Well, no, they plan on redoing that road next year. Washington County does.
So I'll contact them and I'll see what but you really ought to have a speed limit. sign.
Yeah, because I think to, Matt Kent's point, there's a lot of kids that walk back and forth, and
Yeah.
we're looking at 142 new homes, that's even more children, you know,
They're
walking.
going- That thing is over half full. Right now, I mean, I was floored when I went by there today and looked at how many homes they have already put in.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
support.
Is there support? Any additional discussion?
Time is it? 8,
Hearing none, Sandy?
time rise to adjourn, what time?
7:56.
And that was supported by you, Sandy?
I'm sorry.
You
Yes.
support it?
Yes.
Okay,
Rob?
Yes.
Amanda?
yes.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.